Boy, it is. It's about 10 degrees cooler than yesterday about this time. 65 Huntsville, 64 Decatur. We have sunshine. Nice day already. Sunshine most of the day today, and same for tomorrow. We'll get to 81 today, a bit cooler. Our guest is no stranger to the Fred Holland Morning Show. We've been following things ever since he melded space with wood.
That's right. There you go.
Well, Scotty just found something. Woodworkers Journal has done an article on Scott Shuttleman Phillips, and you're here because the last time we were talking, you were gonna self-publish your book, Remove Before Flight.
Yeah.
That chronicled your fascination with space from being a kid in Ohio to ending up working on the external tank in particular.
There you go. That's right.
So you have a publisher.
Yep. Actually, turned out that we were going to self-publish, and my lovely wife, I want to thank her because she actually was involved in writing a synopsis and a beautiful synopsis and actually a nice cover letter and sent it off to some publishers. And 3 days later, we got a major publisher. And CEO of the publisher called us and spent an hour with us and just ran and raved on how that the story was an American type story, and so we signed with them, and so the book will be out September 1st.
So it's delayed a little bit, but it's going to have a lot more oomph to it.
Absolutely. In fact, this is the month for me to start getting out there and promoting, and anyone that knows me knows that I'm kind of a workshop guy, and now I'm getting out here and having to get my new shirt on here that has Remove Before Flight on it, but I still continue to make the shuttle models to honor the legacy of the shuttle program.
So for people who maybe are just getting on the ship in the middle of the cruise here, right. You take these, and there, how many different kinds of wood make these carvings of the shuttle?
I'm up to 20 woods this year. I started about 25 years ago when the crews were on orbit. And, of course, remember, Fred, you were laughing at me the first time around. Where I started learning to carve was my mom's broomsticks. And
that's
so,
right.
Of course, that evolved. Of course, my mom's alive today. I won't tell you how old she is, but I was with her yesterday. And, of course, she's excited about the book coming out. And some stories, she's afraid of what I'm going to say because I didn't really tell everybody what I said about my growing up time. But she'll laugh about the wood carvings on her broomsticks and mop handles, but it evolved later, of course, in life to as a passion. And so when I got into the space program, when I was 19 years old, I incorporated my passion in with my work and got to be known to carve, of course, these space shuttle models. And I call them tributes now because, of course, shuttle program is over. We just passed, the third anniversary of the deactivation of America's ability to get in low Earth orbit with.
Well, we have the Russians.
Yeah, we do, unfortunately. But the element of it is the fact that the shuttle itself was very iconic, and I continue the shape of the shuttle as a representation of the excellence that tens of thousands of men and women put forth to make this country a leader, of course, in space. And
the thing about this, Scott, is the fact that you guys, all of you who were involved in this, from the astronauts right. all the way down to the guy who pulled the tag out of
that's right.
out of the tank.
Right.
All of you guys were this integral part of really being pioneers because things did go wrong. Things almost went wrong. In fact, you talk about a lot of the things that the near misses, the near mistakes, right. the assembling of the technology and the amazing performance of it. And the fact you got to, you can do stuff on a computer and say, well, it's supposed to work this way, till you actually get it out there in practice.
That's
you
right.
don't find out how it's going to work.
Yeah, that's right. Well, of course, we talked earlier about the fact that the shuttle program, of course, employed tens of thousands of people, but it also was voted the most complex vehicle devised by man, and of course holds that title today. And either Russia even tried to copy the space shuttle system with their own Buran system. So I think Americans felt better, having a shuttle launching off that pad to take their hopes and dreams and aspirations with them. And we flew 135 missions. Of course, 2 of them we had issues with 51L and back in the Challenger days, and then of course Columbia.
Let's touch on just a few things. We want people to buy the book, obviously, right?
You
got to go buy the book in September. But we'll talk a little bit about the journey to get here and some of the things that may actually be in the book and some things you may hear Scott talk about as he tours the country. Has a van. He's going on the road. Remove Before Flight is the book. Scott Shuttleman Phillips. He's with us for the hour. Stick around. It's 65 Huntsville, 64 Decatur, noticeably cooler. We'll not get too hot today either, and a lot of sunshine, 81. I like this. See, we get these nice little in the middle of summer kind of pauses, and I'll enjoy this the next couple of days. Scott Shuttleman Phillips is joining us. A memoir of a space shuttle team member, and do you look back? You don't think of this when you're 19, or maybe you did. You're one of the youngest or one of the youngest members of this group of people who did some phenomenal things. You look back now, and is it almost a dream that you got to experience all of this? Yeah,
there's a philosophical thing mentioning the fact that the third anniversary of the deactivation of the shuttle. We were shut down during the Challenger disaster for 33 months. We've surpassed that now, so we wouldn't been without a shuttle for the longest time in my whole lifetime and career in that sense. So, but the perspective that I have today is very philosophical in the sense that it was important for me. Not just to write a book, a tell-all book, and even though I have some exclusive behind-the-scenes photographs that have not been published that'll be in the book, it's pretty interesting, and of course first-hand stories, from people that have long passed, and people that made history, Bob Crimp and John Young, these people that actually took those risks. But the main reason I wrote the book now, 3 years later. Gave me a philosophical view that it was really about people. When I was a kid at 10, I lived in Ohio, 80 miles north of Wapakoneta, which was the home place of Neil Armstrong. Of course, when he landed on the moon in 1969, of course, everybody was excited, especially in the state of Ohio, but I was one of those kids that was inspired. And I always had an inside feeling that I wanted to be attached to something larger than myself. And I just had that burning desire to be attached to something larger than myself. And really didn't know how to exercise that, like most people don't. They want to do it, but they don't know which path to take. Well, it was interesting that my father later moved us to Huntsville, Alabama, of all places, as a teenager. And so
was he connected with the
not
space
at all.
program?
In fact, my dad managed properties, and so he managed some properties close by, and including different cemeteries and just those types of properties. But but the story is this: my preparation time during those years was always following my brother. My brother was 3 years older than me, and he's my late brother now. He passed away last year. He was a great man, but. He would always include me as a teenager to do pasture work or to bale hay with him, and he always included me on the county fair stuff that he did. And so he actually instilled work ethic in me. And but I discovered as a kid writing a memoir that you could go back and recount where you learned integrity and honesty. Where did you learn those, and where did you learn craftsmanship? And those work ethics and things. So I was able to recount that in my story, and it really actually brought back those good things to me on how basic it really was, but yet how it prepared me for an opportunity to be the youngest individual to work in the test program for the space shuttle program.
So how do you get you move here from Ohio?
Right.
And you go through school, I guess, local schools. Right. How do you make the jump to NASA?
Well, here's the deal. My brother was in the military during those years while I was in high school, and he served 3 years over in Germany. And so when we moved to Huntsville, he came out of that hitch. It was only a 3-year hitch, and he came to Redstone Arsenal to get his last paycheck. And so he invited me to go along with him to get on the gate. And so we went in. But when he got there, they were handing out brochures for the new space shuttle program looking for workers. And they were giving percentage to veterans to get hired. So my brother got one of the brochures, filled it out, and gave it in, and he got a call, and sure enough, he got hired. Well, I was getting ready to go to school. I was getting ready to go to Vanderbilt School. I had the grades good enough to do that, and I looked at my dad. My dad said, "I don't have any money. I can't send you."
Love to send you to Vandy, but
that's here again. But what that started out as kind of a negative actually got me to ask my brother. I said, "Is there any way?" He laughed. He said, "Well, you're not a veteran. You're just a high school bum." He said, "That won't work." I said, "Just try." So he actually gave the worker guy to find technicians. And he gave it to the man, and he asked me in for an interview. I got lost on the interview going in Redstone, and about 20-minute loss, and so I got it to his office, and the guy looked at my watch, or looked at his watch, and he said, "I've got to catch a plane in 2 hours, and I got to hire one more person. Do you work as hard as your brother?" And I said, "Absolutely." He said, "Son, you're hired."
Wow.
That's how easy it was.
Wow.
That's how I serendipitous. But I was prepared to tell him, and honestly, that I worked as hard as my brother, and I parlayed that into a 33-year adventure. And so I wanted to write about the fact that if you're not prepared, you can't seize the opportunity.
Yeah, opportunity and preparation have to meet somewhere. That's part of this whole luck or divine intervention or whatever you want to. I think it's correct. A little of everything.
That's right.
More with Scott Shuttleman Phillips. The book is Removed Before Flight. It'll be out September 1, and he's going on the road too. We'll hear him. We may do reports on the road. We were talking about that.
I'd love it.
Anyway, more with Scott. He's with us for the rest of the hour. Stick around. There's some inspiration for you. Sunny today, mostly clear overnight, mostly sunny tomorrow, and hey, we're going to get to 81 today, 83 tomorrow, and more noticeably cooler, 66 Huntsville, 64 Decatur. Scott Phillips, many of you know him as Scott Shuttleman Phillips, his memoir of a space shuttle team member. How many people we're talking about again that were involved in this, stem to stern?
You know, from a management standpoint, all the way down to the guys like us that turn the screws and all that, you know, it's in the 20,000 category. You know, we had a lot of people come and go. You had people that were, you know, part of the Apollo program that came in midway and then left. And then you had people that were, you know, coming out of school, came midway and ended. But I was fortunate to go all the way to the beginning, middle, and the end.
And not many did, because you would go. Some would get contractor jobs and other opportunities and get transferred.
Yeah, I was kind of, you know, in a unique position to where I was catching a lot of the Apollo guys. You know, I was mentored by a lot of these guys, and then as they moved on, you know, that I moved up. In fact, a lot of friends of mine, you know, in fact, a friend of mine here in town just wrote a book called Bold They Rise, and it's about the shuttle program from the beginning to 1986, which was, of course, the Challenger, which is kind of an unusual way to write a book, having the ending of the book on Challenger, when in reality, that was really a beginning for me, because that's when I really started going from the technical more into the administrative. And I worked on every external tank of the space shuttle program, which is a rarity, you know, because some people worked on 50, some of them worked on 20, some worked on 10. I worked on all 135 missions. And, of course, I was the last man out of the very first ET. And, of course, that's what the hook to the book is. And, of course, I removed the ribbon off of the tank, and that's why I named the book Removed Before Flight, because I didn't fly the shuttle, but I actually was the last technician out of ET-1 on its maiden flight on April 12, 1981. So that makes a good hook for the book. In fact, the national publisher really enjoyed that story. It's sort of chronicling the Rocket Boy saga that Homer Hickam had, and so I'm kind of behind him. He's about 12, 15 years older than I am, so I'm kind of following his footsteps.
But these guys, the transfer of the technology, and not just the technology, because, you know, you can teach what's in a book,
right?
But you can't teach